We're nearing the end of the year. Has the market crashed yet? If not, when is it going to crash? If you're thinking about buying a home on the Oregon coast sometime in the near future, you'll want to watch this video. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, Seth Marchant with the Home Team Brokers here. Welcome back to the channel, or if you are new to this channel, living on the Oregon coast, we show you what it's like to eat, sleep, play, work, all the pros and cons of living on the Oregon coast. And if you want to see more videos about what it's like to live on the Oregon coast, make sure and hit the subscribe button. Tap the bell. That way you'll be notified every time we drop a new video, which is once a week. And if you're thinking about moving here, as brokers in the state of Oregon, as much as we like making these videos for you, we also like helping people move here. If you're somebody that's thinking about moving, you can call us, text us, email us, or if you want to click the link in the description for our calendar, you can schedule a Zoom call with us, typically best for people coming from out of state. All right, let's talk about where we're at with the current market. So if you've watched any of our other market update videos throughout this year, I did one at the beginning of this year, and then I did one with Paul, the other person on this channel, towards the middle of this year. I can tell you my view actually really hasn't changed much. So if you watch my video at the beginning of this year, quick summary of that video, my prediction was that if rates go up, and I didn't quite predict that rates would go up as much as they did, but I said if rates go up, I don't think it's going to slow the market too much. It's definitely not going to crash the market. There's just too many buyers out there. And the rising rates are going to knock some buyers out of the market, but not most of them. There's also too much cash out there. There's too many people that are unaffected by rates. It doesn't matter if the rates go up, they're still gonna be buying a home. And as we all know, there's too little inventory. Builders cannot build fast enough. We have supply chain issues, and that is not changing anytime soon. So that's kind of the summary of my video from the beginning of this year. My prediction was that the market would not crash, home values would not go down, even have a few running bets with people. Maybe I'll go into that towards the end of this video, the details on my bets. But let me show you what I've seen and why I don't think things are gonna change too much. And I think this is a really relevant topic for a lot of people. Everybody seems to be interested in the real estate market these days, or at least it seems like everyone has an opinion about the real estate market. There's nonstop articles being written about it. We're all headline readers, and a lot of those headlines are designed to evoke a reaction, to get you to click. Although a lot of us don't necessarily click, we just read those headlines. And if you just go by what a lot of the headlines say, it could be misleading. And it's important if you're thinking about buying a house to not be affected by all that chatter out there. Because there's a lot of people, like I said, that are talking about the real estate market. I've heard a lot of people over the last year say that they're just gonna wait. They're gonna wait it out, wait for the market to crash, and then they're going to buy. And it seems like a lot of people are actually doing that. The problem is, if that's true, if there are a lot of people sitting on the sidelines waiting for the market to crash, well, if the market does crash, all of a sudden all those people become buyers, then you're just going to have the same problem that you did before. You're gonna have a competitive market where there's more buyers than sellers, and the problem is just gonna continue to perpetuate itself. So I don't know that waiting on the sidelines is necessarily a good strategy, but let's see what some of the numbers say. I know a lot of people that watch this are outside of the state of Oregon, like California, for example. Probably most people actually that are watching this. So we'll look at a little bit of national data that's going to apply to everybody, and then we'll look at some local data on the Oregon coast. First thing we're going to look at is inventory, one of the cruxes of this entire problem with the housing market being so competitive, right? Just don't have enough inventory. And what we're seeing right now is that is not going to change. In fact, it's getting worse. Inventory continues to decline even faster than most people predicted. Some people thought that possibly there were some sellers that were also waiting on the sideline, trying to time the market, just like some of the buyers that I mentioned. trying to predict where they think the top of the market will be. And some people thought that if rates were going to go up, it was going to force the hand of those sellers to enter into the market, because those sellers were going to fear, a market crash and the market slowing down and them not getting the most amount of money for their dollars. So there was some thought that if rates slow down all these buyers, there's going to be some sellers that panic and rush to the market and thus increase our inventory, but that hasn't happened. Now, inventory is up from its lows from the beginning of the pandemic, but way down from, say, when you go back to 2015, where inventory was over 1 million homes. So we're still nowhere near what a normal market would be. Let's take a look at one of the next indicators of where the market is trending, which is new listings and how quickly those listings are going under contract. Looking back towards the beginning of the pandemic, or just a year ago at the beginning of January 2021, which you see on this graph right here, the dark red line represents homes that went under contract almost right away, and the light red line are homes that are staying in the market for a little while. So you can see January 2021, the vast majority of homes are going under contract right away, whereas now it's kind of slowly dissipating, and that number, that discrepancy, is becoming larger and larger. And a big reason why that probably is homes are not priced right. There's sellers that made plans to sell in the summer or sell in the fall, and they made those plans last winter or springtime when the market was red hot. They stuck with the same plan and listed with the same plan and didn't adjust for this market that has cooled down over the past 3 or 4 months. And so there's a lot of sellers out there that are probably priced too high, and that's causing homes to not go under contract, or in other words, have a greater days on market. So those sellers that are still operating like they're gonna get a dozen offers in the first week that they list their home, and then they don't. Some of those people are slow to adjust, especially the FSBOs, the people that are listing for sale by owner. So homes are going under contract a lot less quickly. Another sign that the market is slowing, but nothing that shows us that the market's anywhere near a crash. Here's the projections for the year-end inventory. The red line is 2022. We can go back to the blue line, which is 2016, and then the dots are projecting out where we'll be at the end of the year. The red line ending where we're at right now in September. So as you can see, projecting for about 440,000 homes on the market for the country at the end of the year, about half of where it was in 2016. So each week we end up with fewer and fewer homes for sale. Of course, normal in the wintertime in the state of Oregon when the market slows down. Most of the country slows down in the wintertime, but inventory is slowing down a little bit more and projected really to be even lower than most people thought if you were looking at numbers maybe at Q1 or Q2 of this year. Now here's our price reductions. Again, the red line is 2022, almost at 40%. You can kind of see in a normal market, it's closer to 30%. Again, most likely because a lot of sellers haven't reacted to the slowing market. So you got homes that are priced too high. You have more homes that are needing to take a price cut, but the key thing to look at this graph is you can kind of see it's starting to level off. Got a sharp curve upward and then it really kind of levels off. So again, another metric that if the market was crashing, you're going to see a lot more price reductions than 40%, and it's just not trending towards a larger number. Getting towards the end of the year, the homes that have been sitting on the market, once we get towards November and December and the holidays, those homes are going to be taken off of the market. They might relist like sometime in the springtime. So those are actually going to reduce a little bit of the price reductions. Homes that would have normally taken a price cut are just going to come off the market, but still nowhere near the trajectory that we might expect to see if things were actually going to crash. The markets that are slowing the fastest across the United States are typically the markets that are the most speculative, the markets that a lot of investors are coming in and buying up homes to use for short-term rentals in places like Phoenix, Las Vegas, Austin. Those are the places that are kind of seeing the most drastic price reductions. And US home values actually fell for about the first time collectively as a country in the middle of this year, according to Zillow, since they've been tracking this data, which has been for about 10 years, just by 0.1%. It was like 0.77% or something like that. But the first time homes have dipped collectively for the entire country, but we're still up 16% for the entire year. The past couple of years have seen about an average of 20% year over year home value growth. So even seeing prices dip a little bit in some markets towards the end of this year, homes are still not going to be really anywhere near, for the most part, where they were at the beginning of this year. So let's take a look at some local numbers. I've pulled numbers from two places on the Oregon coast that are popular, Astoria and Lincoln City, also larger areas too, so we have a greater sample size. Sampling some of those smaller towns that only have a handful of transactions isn't really going to give us some good data. So looking at bigger numbers here, so we have more numbers to work with. First one looking at is Astoria. Let's look at what home prices were at the beginning of the year in January of 2022, which was $541,000. As of last week, $594,000. Again, that's for Astoria. Let's take a look at Lincoln City now. Lincoln City, $626,000 at the beginning of this year. Right now, coming into Q4, at $688,000. So what does that mean? Well, when people talk about the real estate market crashing, you can look at numbers week over week, month over month. That's a lot of the stuff that you see published online, month over month, or even quarterly numbers. But when you're talking about home value growth, you're really looking at year over year. So in order for homes to have gone down for the entire year, they're gonna have a lot of ground to make up. Too much ground to make up at this point. So the numbers and where we end up at and whether or not we have positive home value growth for the end of the year are basically just baked in. The last 3 months of the year, there's just not enough time to make up that difference. Within Lincoln City, for example, that difference being about $60,000. Homes just aren't going to get below $626,000 by the end of this year. And we can look at a lot of different graphs throughout the state of Oregon. It's going to be pretty consistent throughout the coast. The markets are pretty similar for the most part. Not really any bad markets along the Oregon coast, and Oregon as well. There's not really any bad markets, maybe a few bad neighborhoods in the state of Oregon, but all the markets in the state of Oregon are seeing positive growth. And we've just had too much growth this year to get back to being to where we were before the beginning of this year. So for anybody that's wondering, are home values going to go down this year? The answer is no. The math is just not going to work out that way. Like I mentioned, I do have a few bets with people on this. My barber, for example, we made a bet earlier in the year. He bet me early in the year, maybe it was like March or something like that, home values will have gone down by the middle of the year. I think we said it at the end of June or maybe the end of July is what he offered actually, and I told him, you can have until the end of the year. I'll give you until the end of the year to try and get back down to where we were at the beginning of this year. And as you can see, it hasn't happened. It's not going to happen for all the reasons that I've mentioned. Now, looking into 2023, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot that's going to be different, except for we're going to see less growth. So we might see 6%, 7% growth, maybe 5%, instead of 16% growth nationally. Now, when your growth is that small, when you're in the single digits, you don't have as much to make up, so something could happen Q1, Q2, middle of the year, end of the year, where maybe you do end up a little bit lower than where you started off at the beginning of the year. So it is possible that home values could go down in 2023. It'll certainly be easier to do than 2022. Like I said, the results are already baked in at this point, but I'm not going to be surprised if they don't. I think 2023 will also be a good time for buyers, even if the market doesn't crash. And I suppose we have to consider the possibility that the housing market could go up quite a bit again. People really didn't predict when the pandemic started that the housing market would take off the way that it did. There's a lot of real estate developers, a lot of people that sold land and sold real estate at the beginning of the pandemic because they thought for sure the market was going to crash. So just with that recent lesson that we all experienced at the beginning of the pandemic, I suppose it is possible that something in 2023 could make the housing market go back up again. Maybe homes will go up 10, 15, 20%, and it will get even more competitive and things will shift back in the other direction, back maybe towards where they were in 2021. Now, I can't imagine that, but then again, a lot of people couldn't have imagined, like I said, in the beginning of 2020, the market not crashing, which totally makes sense, right? You've got a pandemic, a lockdown. How the heck is real estate? How are people going to be buying homes? But it happened. So just consider that. It's very hard to speculate on what's going to happen in the future. The best we can kind of do is look at the numbers, disregard the chatter and all the clickbait and all the headlines. And my best advice to you, it's the same advice I've shared in other videos. Don't try and time the market. Even the professionals get it wrong. Buy a home when it's best for you. When you're financially ready, psychologically ready, all the readies that you need to be. Wait until you're ready, then find the home that's right for you and get a good price on the home. That's what we're here for. So if you're thinking about moving to Oregon, if you have questions, if you want to talk more about the market, you can call us, text us, email us, or like I've mentioned, you can click the link in the description to get into our calendar and schedule a Zoom call with us. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure and subscribe. Give us a like. If this video helped you, feel free to comment. We always respond to comments. Stay tuned for more videos and take care, everyone.